Hello, Alex Plus LEDs here. In this video tutorial I'm going to be showing how to mount the Guyman sidebars in a Guyman helmet. So obviously you need the sidebars completed along with the chin pieces, and obviously you need your helmet. And for parts, all you need is a hot glue gun for gluing down all of the sidebars and the chins. And I like to use some duster, invert this stuff, and it actually blows a cold stream of gas that'll let you chill out the hot glue quite a bit faster. The hardest part of this whole process is to line up the sidebars inside the helmet. So you kind of line them up like this, with the purple at the top and the red at the bottom. The trick here is to keep the edge of the sidebar, the inside part, from poking out past the edge of the helmet, so that you have as much LED panel exposed as possible while not exceeding the little edge, the inner edge of the sidebars. So roughly it mounts kind of like this. You want to overlap the top sidebar a little bit with the edge of the helmet, but that's about it. And it's pretty easy to glue into place, so I'm going to go ahead and apply hot glue to the bottom edge of the sidebar here. So just at the bottom of the red one. So I'm going to spray a little bit of air duster inverted in there, and it will chill out the hot glue. You want to make sure that you don't spray way too much in there, because it will force the hot glue to delaminate from the surface that you're gluing it to. So just a little spritz to make the hot glue a little bit less tacky. So I've went ahead and tacked just the bottom sidebar here. As you can see here, I glued it right there. And I'm going to go ahead and apply glue along the edges here of the sidebar piece. So I want to apply hot glue right about the middle of the screen, where you have the interface of the sidebar and the inside of the helmet. So I'm going to go ahead and take my hot glue gun here, press the sidebars down, and just basically flood all of the gap between the sidebars and the edge of the helmet. You do not want any of the hot glue to move past the edge of the visor and make it between the LED panel and the visor, because that will cause a little bit of diffraction, or it'll cause a little bit of a shadow on the inside of the visor. And that's something you really want to avoid. The best way to do it is just to cool it down with your air duster as much as possible, and it'll cool before it has time to flow anywhere else. So here I'm going to go ahead and unmount the camera so you could see a little bit further into the helmet here. As you can see, the glue is applied at the interface of the sidebar and the helmet. And then I'm going to go ahead and go in with some air duster to cool down the hot glue and force it to solidify. It also speeds up the process. I also have a tendency to spray a little bit of just the compressed air inside to prevent the actual refrigerant that's inside the can from condensing. And it also tends to cause condensation in the air, which is something you want to avoid. And at this step, I'm going to go ahead and add the last bit of hot glue for this sidebar at the very top of the purple bar. I'm only going to do it at the edges. I'm not going to fill in the center piece, because that's not needed. You just need to tack it along the edges. So there we go. It's all tacked down. I tend to use quite a bit of hot glue for mounting the sidebars, and that's fine. The more hot glue you use, the heavier the helmet becomes, but also the sturdier the joint to the helmet. As you can see here, I've went ahead and glued that down. You can see that there's no glue seeping out past the edge of that sidebar. That top sidebar does have a tendency to have some hot glue flow over the edge. Really be careful to not get any hot glue in that area. And again, I'm going to go ahead and inverted air duster some compressed refrigerant onto those areas to have them cool out. Spray it the normal way to blast away any of the refrigerant that might have remained. Just a note, this stuff is flammable, and it's probably not good to breathe in great quantities of this stuff. There's also a lot of bitterant inside this, so you don't want to get this in your mouth or anything like that, because it's extremely bitter. Ask me how I know. So now that the left sidebar is done, I'm going to go ahead and mount the left chin piece. So the chin piece goes face down with the LEDs down like this, and it pokes out the visor like this. I like to align the end LED with the end of the visor, sort of like this, and then just hold it in place as I hot glue it down. And you don't want to overlap too much of the LEDs with the edge of the helmet here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and apply a bunch of hot glue to the sidebar like this. And I'm going to apply it at the bottom and the top, as you see here. And you also don't want this hot glue to move past the LED pieces and onto the visor. So here I've applied a little bit of hot glue, and I'm going to apply some more to make a really solid joint. You can start and stop hot gluing. You don't need to hot glue everything all at once. And then I'm going to go ahead and chill this out with the compressed air duster, cause that to solidify. And then I'm going to go ahead and come in at the top here and just apply the last bit of hot glue to glue that chin piece to the sidebar as well as I can. And then come in over the top with a little bit of compressed air. And then this edge here I did not glue down yet, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that down as well. Throughout this process, you'll maybe go through 5 to 8 hot glue sticks. Make sure you have those handy. Make sure you maybe keep them in your pocket for easy access or out on the table here. So this sidebar is glued, and then I went ahead and air dusted it to solidify the hot glue, and then blew off any condensed air duster. So let's flip this thing around and see what that looks like. So here I have the helmet, and you could see what the sidebars look like when mounted properly. I don't have any glue seeping out past the edge of the sidebar, and everything looks good on this side. The hardest part, admittedly, is actually lining up the other side with the first one. The first one you can misalign a little bit, but the right side is a lot harder to line up and make it perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and detangle all of my wires here, and then line it up just like so. Or that's not perfect, but I'm going to do the rest of this off camera. Line it up like that, match, the left and the right side, and I'll go from here. I went ahead and mounted both sides here, the left side here and the right side here. And as you can see, it's pretty even, and you can see that I don't have any glue going past the edge of the helmet. Again, same thing, it's glue in the sidebar, add a bunch of glue around the edges here, like this, and then glue in the chin piece. Pretty simple. And here's the other side for reference. So to mount the little control board here, what I tend to do is stick a bunch of hot glue onto the back of it and mount it up top kind of like this, so that you have plenty access to the wires and you can just tuck the wires in. And then the chin bars have a wire going across them, so what I do is I just take them and I glue them to the front of the helmet like this, and then I very carefully glue down the wires and tuck them out of the way. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.